Let's talk about feedback. I had an opportunity of receiving feedback from one of my bosses, and this time the feedback landed so seamlessly and so comfortably. And I asked myself, what was different about this session? I have received feedback before in the past, but most of the feedback I received, I always felt like I was under attack. So it was so hard to receive the feedback because when my body entered attack mode, the feedback could not enter. It felt like I entered into an avoidant mode. And sometimes when you enter into an avoidant mode, it's easy to lash out, run away, become speechless, stand in shock and in disbelief. You may say things like, "What did I just hear?" Hey friends, welcome back. In this video, I want to highlight ways we can get better at receiving feedback. What do? Everywhere we go, we receive feedback, especially from bosses. Why will feedback feel like a threat to us? We may ask. It turns out there is a neuroscience backed explanation for why we feel like we are under a threat. Our primitive brains are psychologically or biologically wired to perceive feedback as a threat. Guess what? When I was doing my research, I stumbled over someone's work. His name is David Rock. And his description of why we see feedback as a threat makes a lot of sense. He talks of a status problem. Sometimes getting feedback may feel like we are being spoken down to, like a kid, like we are being looked at as of a lower status, so we feel threatened. Now, there's another level, at the level of certainty when we receive feedback. The one that is unexpected, it can create feelings of uncertainty and confusion. Guess what? When you thought you did a good job at that presentation, but now the feedback has come, makes you to doubt your ability, or it has shaken your self-confidence. What do? You feel like someone is attacking you. Now, there's another level. It questions your autonomy. When we receive feedback that puts into question the decisions and the choices that we make, we start to doubt our own judgment. Sometimes we feel like we are under threat when we receive feedback from close people, where we share a much closer relationship. You may think like, how would they think like that? I thought you were on my side. Really? Since when did you start thinking of me like that? Oh, at a level of fairness, you receive feedback and you feel like, this person flat out misunderstood, misjudged. I'm unfairly evaluated. This is me. I always used to think like that. This is just not fair. Now, when you have these software codes running in the background, you enter into threat mode. You want to run. Feedback feels like an attack. But now you know that there is a neuroscience backed explanation for why we sometimes feel like we are under threat. How do we change this? How do we receive feedback, or how do we get better at it? What muscle do we need to flex? Number one, change your mindset about feedback. Reframe it as a developmental opportunity rather than a criticism of your personality. Recognize that. Why? we have the tendency to focus on the negative side of feedback. There are important nuggets in there about your strength and your ability that you can leverage to do things next time. Number 2, have an open mind. Like in my recent example, I was wondering why the feedback landed quietly. My mind was open. I was receptive to what was being said to me because I put things in perspective. The person giving the feedback, do they really want to attack me? They don't. It may seem like, but they don't. So I actively listened when I opened up my mind. Listen, feedback is a source of knowledge. How are you going to gain knowledge? If you don't hear, you have someone looking from outside of you. And there is value in knowing. So opening up your mind to listen is good. In conclusion, guess what? Continuous improvement is ongoing and a lifelong journey. As long as you're living, you will want to improve. There is no stasis in the universe. Feedback is one mechanism that will help you stay in improvement. Without feedback, how are you going to know how you are doing? Of course, you are not going to know. You will rely only on your subjective judgment. That is not enough. Have you been in situations where you have received feedback? Drop your comments below. And before I go, kindly share this episode with a friend because word of mouth grows this channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your subscription. I will see you in the next video. Ciao.